The school auditorium was buzzing with excitement, parents chatting, and students adjusting nervously in their seats, but all eyes were on the silent girl sitting at the back. Emily Hart, the CEO Millionaire's daughter, had become infamous in the school for her complete refusal to speak. Whispers followed her through every hallway. No teacher had managed to break her silence. Today, however, the principal insisted she participate in the school's annual talent showcase. A lump formed in Emily's throat as the spotlight drew near, and panic tightened around her chest. The parents and students assumed she was just a spoiled rich kid. But behind her eyes was a storm of fear, insecurity, and unspoken pain. Every attempt to coax her words out had ended in tears or stubborn silence. Teachers had tried patience, bribery, and even threats, but nothing worked. This day felt different, though, as a new teacher entered the auditorium. Mr. Daniel Reed, the struggling literature teacher, carried no wealth, no prestige, only a quiet determination to reach the unreachable. Daniel had heard about Emily before he even met her, not as a student to be taught, but as a soul to be understood. He had faced failure, debt, and heartbreak in his own life, yet he held a belief in the power of human connection that nothing could shake. As he observed Emily from across the room, he didn't see a silent, spoiled child. He saw a young girl trapped behind walls no one cared to dismantle. The principal doubted Daniel's ability, muttering about experience and protocols. But he smiled quietly, letting his calm presence speak louder than his words. Emily's gaze flickered toward him for a fraction of a second, a silent acknowledgement of someone different. She had grown used to teachers who demanded compliance, not understanding. Daniel, however, carried empathy in every step, every glance, and every gesture. He knew that breaking silence wasn't about force, it was about trust, patience, and vulnerability. Today, he was willing to try what no one else could. The auditorium hushed as the talent showcase began, students performing songs, reciting poems, and dancing across the stage. Emily's heart raced as her name was called, the weight of expectation pressing her down like stone. She froze, staring at the microphone as her classmates whispered encouragement. Daniel stepped forward gently, kneeling to her eye level, his voice soft yet firm. "Emily, I don't need you to speak perfectly. I don't need applause. I just want you to share one thing, anything you want me to hear." The world seemed to pause. For the first time, she felt no judgment, no pressure to perform, only a hand extended in understanding. Her lips trembled, but no words came. Daniel didn't panic. Instead, he smiled, giving her space, and told her a story about a bird that refused to sing until it felt safe. Emily's eyes widened, drawn to the simplicity yet depth of the tale. Something inside her stirred, a flicker of courage she hadn't realized existed. Memories of endless pressure at home surfaced, the expectation to excel, to shine, to impress, to never fail. Her father, a titan of industry, was loving but demanding, never understanding that perfection was suffocating. Emily had learned early that silence could be her shield, a way to avoid criticism and disappointment. Teachers had interpreted her silence as rudeness or arrogance, classmates as snobbery. But Daniel saw through all of that. He didn't want compliance, he wanted connection. He knelt beside her, not pushing but inviting, speaking of the importance of small steps, of trust, and of the courage it takes to be vulnerable. Emily's fingers fidgeted with the hem of her sleeve. For the first time, she wondered if someone could truly see her, not just the image her family projected. The idea was terrifying, yet oddly comforting. The audience watched, puzzled, as Emily shifted nervously on the stage, her lips parting slightly but no sound escaping. Daniel whispered encouragement, sharing stories of students he'd taught who overcame silent walls in their own time. He reminded her that there was no rush, no expectation, only a chance to share her voice if she wanted. Slowly, a whisper emerged, barely audible at first, I like stories." The words were raw, shaky, but alive, echoing softly through the auditorium. Gasps filled the room, and a ripple of disbelief moved through parents and students alike. Daniel's eyes lit with gentle pride. He didn't interrupt, he didn't cheer, he simply nodded. Emily repeated it, gaining strength. "I like stories. And poems." The room seemed to hold its breath. The walls of silence that had imprisoned her were trembling, ready to fall. Word spread quickly through the auditorium, reaching Emily's father, who had been observing from the back, his arms crossed, tension evident. He was used to controlling situations, but this was different. He had never seen someone connect with his daughter in a way he couldn't command. Daniel, noticing his gaze, smiled reassuringly, silently asking for trust. Emily's voice grew clearer, each word a triumph over years of self-imposed isolation. She read a short poem from her notebook, her voice quivering but steadying with every line. The audience was captivated, not just by the words, but by the courage that had finally found its way out. Parents and students were moved to tears, whispering about the miraculous breakthrough. Emily's father felt a lump in his throat, realizing that wealth, influence, and success couldn't teach what love and understanding could. After her performance, Daniel guided Emily to a quiet corner backstage. He asked her gently, "How does it feel to finally speak?" Emily's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. "Scary, and freeing," she admitted softly. Daniel nodded, validating her courage without judgment. He explained that voice wasn't just about speaking aloud, it was about expressing oneself, taking risks, and daring to be seen. Emily clutched her notebook to her chest, a symbol of the private world she had guarded for so long. She began to understand that her silence had been a prison of her own making, and Daniel had given her the key to unlock it. Slowly, she realized that strength didn't mean hiding, it meant sharing. In the days that followed, Emily's transformation was subtle but powerful. She began raising her hand in class, answering questions softly, then with increasing confidence. Teachers were astonished at the change, curious how the quiet, aloof girl had begun to blossom. Daniel continued to mentor her, not pushing, but guiding, allowing her to find her rhythm and voice naturally. Emily's classmates, initially wary, grew to admire her courage, inspired to overcome their own fears. Her father, witnessing her growth, reflected on his own approach to parenting, realizing that love required patience, not just expectation. Emily started sharing her poems and stories with her father at home, bridging a connection that had long been missing. The once silent girl was becoming a voice not just for herself, but for those around her. One afternoon, Daniel assigned Emily a creative writing project, encouraging her to write about something personal. At first, she hesitated, but the encouragement in his eyes gave her the courage to try. She wrote about a girl trapped in silence, longing to be heard, finding hope in the kindness of a teacher who believed in her. The act of writing became a therapy, a liberation, and a celebration of self-discovery. Emily read her story aloud in class. Voice steady and confident, as classmates listened in awe. Some were moved to tears, others inspired to confront their own fears. Daniel watched proudly, knowing that this breakthrough wasn't just for Emily, it was a lesson for everyone about the power of empathy and patience. Emily's father, attending a parent-teacher meeting, expressed gratitude to Daniel, his voice uncharacteristically soft. "I've always taught her success is everything, but you've shown me that understanding is everything," he admitted. Daniel smiled humbly, deflecting praise to Emily's courage. "She had the voice all along," he said. "I just helped her find it." The father realized that wealth and influence could buy many things, but they couldn't replace genuine care, attention, and connection. Emily, overhearing their conversation, felt pride and humility intertwine. Her journey of finding her voice was more than personal, it had begun to inspire those around her. Months passed, and Emily became more active in school events, volunteering, participating in debates, and even mentoring younger students who struggled to express themselves. She formed a special bond with Daniel, visiting him after school to discuss books, stories, and life. Their relationship became a beacon of trust and respect, showing that true mentorship was rooted in patience and understanding, not authority. Emily's classmates grew to admire her resilience, learning that courage could emerge from even the quietest hearts. The school itself changed subtly, with teachers rethinking their methods, fostering empathy alongside education. Emily's father, witnessing the transformation, became more involved emotionally, learning to listen rather than dictate. The once silent girl was now a source of inspiration, her voice echoing far beyond the auditorium. Emily's confidence spilled into other areas of her life, allowing her to try new experiences without fear of judgment. She joined the school debate team, initially trembling but slowly commanding attention with eloquence. Teachers marveled at her growth, realizing that her silence had masked incredible potential. Daniel continued guiding her, not as a strict teacher, but as a friend who believed in nurturing talent through understanding. Emily's father attended her first debate, tears welling as she spoke clearly, confidently, and passionately. He finally understood that success wasn't just measured by wealth or accolades, it was measured by courage, resilience, and authenticity. Emily's journey had become a story of triumph over fear, showing that even the most guarded hearts could bloom with care. One evening, Emily confided in Daniel about the challenges she faced at home, about the pressure to be perfect, and the loneliness that had haunted her. Daniel listened without judgment, offering wisdom and encouragement. "Your voice isn't just for the stage," he said. "It's for your life, for your dreams, and for anyone who needs to hear it." Emily realized that her silence had once been armor, but now it could be transformed into strength. She embraced the idea of using her voice intentionally, to express herself, help others, and foster understanding. Daniel's mentorship had unlocked more than words, it had unlocked self-belief and purpose. Emily's life was no longer defined by fear, it was defined by choice, courage, and compassion. The school recognized Emily's growth with a special award for courage and leadership. Standing on the stage, she looked out at the audience, her voice calm and steady. She thanked Daniel publicly, acknowledging the teacher who had believed in her when no one else did. The applause was deafening, but she focused on the gratitude and love in her heart. Her father, seated in the front row, couldn't hold back tears. He realized that the richest gift he could provide wasn't money, it was support, understanding, and presence. Emily's journey had not just changed her, it had transformed her family, her teachers, and her classmates. The silent girl had become a symbol of hope. Emily's poems and stories began circulating beyond the school, touching hearts in ways she had never imagined. She received letters from students in other schools, inspired by her courage to speak. Daniel continued to guide her, proud but never boastful, always emphasizing that true strength lay in kindness and perseverance. Emily understood that her journey was ongoing, that each day required courage, vulnerability, and authenticity. Her father joined her in writing letters to young readers, supporting her mission of encouraging others to find their voices. The impact rippled outward, showing how one act of patience and empathy could change countless lives. Emily had become more than a speaker, she had become a beacon of hope and inspiration. As graduation approached, Emily was invited to give a speech at the ceremony. Standing at the podium, she looked back on her journey with gratitude, reflecting on the struggles, fears, and triumphs. Daniel watched from the audience, a quiet pride warming his heart. She spoke of courage, of trust, and of the transformative power of empathy. Her words resonated deeply, not because she was the millionaire's daughter, but because she had learned to be authentically herself. The entire audience rose in applause, moved by the story of a girl who had once been invisible. Emily had not just found her voice, she had learned to use it to inspire, to uplift, and to connect. Years later, Emily became an advocate for children struggling with self-expression and confidence. She partnered with educators, psychologists, and mentors to create programs that nurtured voice, creativity, and courage. Daniel continued to be her mentor and friend, proud of the young woman she had become. Emily's father supported her mission wholeheartedly, finally understanding that true legacy was measured in love, impact, and human connection. Emily never forgot the day she first spoke in the auditorium, the day a struggling teacher did the impossible. Her silence had been broken, but her story was just beginning, a story of hope, resilience, and the transformative power of belief. Emily's journey taught everyone who met her an unforgettable lesson, that patience, empathy, and understanding can unlock potential hidden behind walls of fear. She became a role model, inspiring countless students and teachers to see beyond appearances. Her life proved that courage isn't the absence of fear, but the willingness to face it. Daniel, having dedicated his life to teaching, saw in Emily the fruition of his belief that every child deserved to be seen and heard. Together, they continued spreading this message, showing the world that even the quietest voice can change lives. Emily's story was no longer just hers, it was a shared legacy of love, mentorship, and unwavering belief in human potential. In the quiet moments, Emily reflected on her journey, realizing that speaking had been more than words, it had been reclaiming herself. She understood that fear had once ruled her, but trust and patience had taught her strength. Daniel's guidance had been the spark, but her courage had been the flame. Her father learned alongside her, understanding that true power lay in connection, not control. Emily knew there would still be challenges, still moments of doubt, but she faced them with confidence now. She smiled, remembering the frightened girl at the auditorium, and marveled at how far she had come. The impossible had been done, not by force or wealth, but by belief, empathy, and love. And that, Emily realized, was the most powerful story of all.